Episode 15, Show Up in Iowa and See What Happens. When a door opens with something better than you had planned, you walk through it, right? That's what I did when the University of Iowa said they could see me at the end of April, a week before my planned trip to Iowa City. I rebooked my departure flight, called my mother-in-law, canceled the week's plans. But I'm going to be honest. In addition to the exhilaration of knowing that I was getting exactly what I wanted, that this was better than waiting until September for my originally scheduled appointment, the not knowing and the added expense, there was also a whole lot of discomfort around the disruption. I mean, so much. I felt nauseated in my body and incredibly anxious. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I'm someone who makes plans, creates lists from those plans, executes on the plan, and then lives a predictable life. So I see the problem now. Plans aren't a bad thing. You've got to start somewhere. But learning how to roll with whatever comes my way is uncomfortable for someone like me who relies on the security of knowing what to expect, knowing what I need to do, knowing what I can control to mitigate bad things from happening. Well, that took a turn, didn't it? I guess I'm still getting used to this new way of thinking. Nah, it's more a new way of being. I have a feeling that it will take some practice until I'm totally at ease with going with the flow. Or maybe I never will be. Does that make sense? As I left Corey home in Portland and flew by myself to Iowa City a week early, I realized that I had all these expectations about the two of us flying together. We'd splurged on first-class tickets, and we were looking forward to taking the trip. We hadn't flown together since January 2020, so it'd been a minute. I'm going to be in Iowa all by myself for a week. Hell, I'm going to have to go to this doctor's appointment all by myself. I don't wanna. I felt all of this resistance. The theme was, it's not supposed to be like this. And once I'd identified this thought, it's not supposed to be like this, I knew that that's where my pain was. Crap. Let the record reflect that this thought is a recurring theme and the source of most of the pain in my life. And every time I realize that it's my core thought around an issue, I know that I have to let it go. I have to let go of how I think things should be and relax into how things are, my reality. So I started to think about all the reasons why it was great that I had a whole week in Iowa by myself, why it was supposed to be. I'd have a mini vacation. I'd have an opportunity to get reacquainted with my mother-in-law. I'd have an extra weekend to hang out with my sister-in-law. And I'd get some answers about my liver. Speaking of which, let's go down a rabbit trail for a liver update. After reviewing my charts and MRI results, Dr. Antonio Sanchez agreed with my doctor that I have hereditary polycystic liver disease. Women are 6 times more likely to get this than men, because of course we do. Like 80% of patients with this disease, I am, fortunately, asymptomatic. We'd have no idea about the condition at all had it not been for the routine CT imaging back in October. So what do I do about it? Check in with Dr. Sanchez annually so he can monitor the liver. That's it. Honestly, it's the best possible outcome. So I'll see you next year in Iowa. So what else did I do with my bonus week in Iowa? I harvested rhubarb and made a cake. I relearned 3 versions of canasta and contract rummy. I learned how to play a card game called golf. I went thrifting with my mother-in-law. I went for daily walks. I also bought a winch, ripped out a hem on purpose, and figured out how to use an Android tablet. I stayed with my mother-in-law and her boyfriend. And I don't think that I'm oversharing when I tell you they are in their 80s and 90s respectively. The opportunity to hang out with them, in combination with attending the funeral of one of Corey's bowling league buddies, forced me to reconsider my own mortality. Both Corey and I have already outlived our fathers. The future is not promised, but with some luck, we have another 30 or 40 years left. No matter what I hope or plan for my life and our lives together, I'm determined to live more in the now. What do I mean by this? I spent a lot of my life in the I'll be happy when mode. Renee touched on this in our conversation. To paraphrase Gabrielle Zevin in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I, quote, learn to tolerate the sometimes painful present by living in the future, end quote. I used to think I'd be happy when my credit cards were paid off, when I weighed 120 pounds, when I bought a house, when my kids were out of diapers or daycare or college, or sometimes even out of the house, or when I got a new job or a promotion, or when I was retired. Well, what am I waiting for now? It doesn't feel like there's a lot of when left. It feels like there's this conflict between doing things I know I need to do and just relaxing into being. Instead of a to-do list, I need a to-be list. For me, it comes back to the feeling. How do I want to feel? Feel that, and everything else falls into place. How can I set myself up to feel amazing today, to relax and enjoy the moment? Let's do that. Thanks again for listening, and thank you for sharing my Act 4 with your friends. I didn't get to it this week, but you can join me next week for a brief soapbox rant that I'm calling Not My People. Have a great week.